So welcome everyone. Let us start. So we last again were continuing with our reflections on synthesis of yoga, release from the body, subjection to the body. And we had done the first paragraph and now we are to start the second one. So because it's a long time, I think last session was December 27, not that a long time, but still for me feels like a long time. So maybe it's good to just take an overlap and we'll just go through the first paragraph again, which we have already touched, and then continue with the second one. So anyone who feels ready can start maybe reading it out aloud for all of us.
Shall I read?
Yes, please.
Our first step in this path of knowledge, having once determined in our intellect that what seems is not the truth, that the self is not the body or life or mind, since these are only its form, must be set right our mind in its practical relations with the life and the body, so that it may arrive at its own right relation with the self. This it is easier to do by a device with which we are already familiar, since it played a great part in our view of yoga of work. It is to create a separation between the Prakriti and the Purusha. The Purusha, the soul that knows the commands, that knows and commands, has got himself involved in the working of its executive conscious force, so that he mistakes this physical working of it, which we call the body, for himself. He forgets his own nature as the soul that knows and commands. He believes his mind and soul to be subject to the law and working of the body. He forgets that he is so much else besides that is greater than the physical form. He forgets that the mind is really greater than the matter and ought not to submit to its obscurations, reactions, habits of inertia, habit of incapacity. He forgets that he is more than the mind, a power which can raise the mental being above itself, that he is the master, the transcendent, and it is not fit the master should be enslaved to his own workings, the transcendent imprisoned in a form which exists only as a trifle in its own being. All this forgetfulness has to be cured by the Purusha, remembering his true nature, and first by his remembering that body is only a working and only one working of Prakriti.
Yeah, thank you. So we had touched upon this, and I'm sure if we begin to reflect upon this paragraph again, there's no end to reflections that would come. And the crux for us was that this stepping back, that's what we try in these meditative practices when we are trying to bring our attention to the breath. We are stepping back from the thoughts, emotions, bodily sensations, so that there is a disentanglement that can happen. And I can know myself as something more, as he was sharing, that one is more and beyond than thoughts, feelings, sensations. One has all of that, of course, but one just is not all of those. There is more to us than the formations in consciousness, which are thoughts, feelings, and body sensations. And for that, a very, very essential step, which we cannot ignore, which we cannot escape, and which we cannot avoid on the path of sadhana, is this stabilization in our witnessing awareness. So if anger is coming, if any formation, mental formation, feeling, emotions are coming, you step back from it. I am the watcher, I am the witness of whatever I am able to witness. So although that is still dual, we had discussed this last time, that although that is still dual, there is duality, that okay, I am the watcher and there is something that I am watching. Still, there is a resolution that happens, which you cannot avoid entering into this duality before knowing ourselves as fully consciousness, that I am consciousness. It cannot just happen without.
Hello.
Yeah. Okay, some other call. So, mm, we have to go through this intermediate phase of, first we are just one with thoughts and emotions, then we disentangle. We say that, oh, I see the thoughts and emotions, I see pain and physical bodily sensation, and then we know ourselves as consciousness, which is the sadhana of all yogis, that is the yoga, so that there is nothing but me. So even thoughts and feelings and body sensations are what? The substance is the divine consciousness. There is no other substance. But that realization cannot happen before us disentangling ourselves from the content of consciousness. That we have to see. And that is where a lot of time is invested in our day to day waking hours, sleeping hours, again and again detaching, and again many tools can be used, to each his own. Whatever suits us can be used to stabilize ourselves, to know ourselves as awareness, right? Yeah, so anyone wants to add on? I just shared like a summary of this first one. If one wants to add on, one can please unmute and share. Okay, so I'm assuming there is nothing at the moment. For those of us not speaking right now, we can unmute, keep ourselves muted, because then there is a background noise. When we want to share, then we can, yeah, thank you. Thank you. Then we can unmute. Huh? It's not that I don't want any of us to speak. It's just that recording. Okay, so we can take the new paragraph today. And for those of us, I'm sure all of us are in sync why we are reading Synthesis of Yoga in the middle of Savitri. Because in Savitri, we were going through Ashwapati's experiences where he's gotten liberated from the sense of ego. He's gotten liberated, like a release from the mortal self. And how does that happen? So that's why we entered the Synthesis of Yoga. Yes. So, Yuan, you want to read? Okay, there is a question. Just a second. Yeah. So there is no other way, Snehi. Anything that benefits on the way, you can use it as a tool. So the question is that sometimes, despite detaching and knowing oneself as awareness, the noise in the head keeps growing and disturbing. How does one deal with this? As long as I believe that the noise in the head will give me something, I cannot let go of that noise. As long as I am sure that this continuous chatter and storyline that is going on about everything in life will promise me something, it wants to give me something good, I will not be able to drop it. I will not be able to ignore it. And that is why in Buddhism they talk about disenchantment as the first step. Like, that nothing substantial can be given from the worldly engagements. And that is how we are able to turn towards our own self. So that is why we need to run for a long time before we have a conviction in ourselves that yes, I have seen this, that, and I know that the only way is within. So that conviction comes through our own individual experiences. We cannot transfer it, unfortunately. So if I am your parent and you are my child, and I tell you that, see, you would not find it anywhere, it's very hard that you would get it. You have to go through your own running around, and then after some running around, or enough running around, or medium running around, you realize that no, that which I read somewhere, or that which somebody told me must be true because I'm not getting it anywhere. So as long as I believe that thoughts and disturbing things that go on in my head will give me something, that fulfillment that we are all looking, we will not be able to see that as noise. It will not be noise, it will be very important. And when something is important, you will not be able to throw it out of your house, right? What do we throw out of our house? That which is not important for us anymore. But if my thoughts, feelings, storylines are still important to me, they promise me something, then how can I, like it's hypocrisy to even say that, oh, actually, I realize that I have to let go, but see, I am not able to let go. It's hypocrisy. The thing is that I actually don't have a full conviction that this is noise. It is still promising me something. And as long as it is promising me something, we must actually run after it. So there is no need to stagnate oneself. Run after it. If you think that there is a higher promise in the head, that the story that is promising me something, okay, go try it, test it out. Is it true? That does that give you lasting fulfillment? Because otherwise it will keep on bringing a turmoil in the mind. That your something is attracting you, and still you're wanting to keep yourself stable. That, oh, no, I know that that is empty. Let me be here. So that will keep us in a restlessness. So better get done with it. Go try it out. Whatever is calling. We all have done that. So that trying out is necessary. That's why mother says that even passions are preferable than dull inertia. This is mother. That because in passion we run around, we run after things, and after running we have our own wisdom and experience. In inertia there is no wisdom and experience going to come because there is no running around. So try it out. The only way to deal with it is run. If something is attracting, run around. Yeah, there must be some experience waiting, no? Yeah. Yeah, anything anyone wants to add on before we go on to the next paragraph? Okay, so Yuan, you wanted to read? You can maybe go ahead.
Yes. From this we say then, okay.
We say then,
then
yes.
okay. We say then to the mind, this is a working of Prakriti. This is neither thyself nor myself. Stand back from it. We shall find, if we try, that the mind has this power of detachment and can stand back from the body, not only in idea, but in act and, as it were, physically, or rather vitally. This detachment of the mind must be strengthened by a certain attitude of indifference to the things of the body. We must not care essentially about its sleep or its waking, its movement or its rest, its pain or its pleasure, its health or ill health, its vigor or its fatigue, its comfort or its discomfort, or what it cuts or drinks. This does not mean that we shall not keep the body in right order so far as we can. We have not to fall into violent asceticisms or a positive neglect of the physical frame. But we have not either to be affected in mind by hunger or thirst or discomfort or ill health, or attach the importance which the physical and vital man attached to the things of the body, or indeed any but a quite subordinate and purely instrumental importance. Nor must this instrumental importance be allowed to assume the proportions of a necessity. We must not, for instance, imagine that the purity of the mind depends on the things we eat or drink, although during a certain stage restrictions in eating and drinking are useful to our inner progress, nor on the other hand must we continue to think that the dependence of the mind or even of the life on food and drink is anything more than a habit, a customary relation which nature has set up between these principles. As a matter of fact, the food we take can be reduced by contrary habit, a new relation to a minimum without the mental or vital vigor being in any way reduced. Even on the contrary, with a judicious development, they can be trained to a greater potentiality of vigor by learning to rely on the secret fountains of mental and vital energy with which they are connected more than upon the minor aid of physical aliments. This aspect of self-discipline is, however, more important in the yoga of self-perfection than here. For our present purpose, the important point is the renunciation by the mind of attachment to or dependence on the things of the body.
So there was a friend, one of my friends, who went to a forest and keeps on going to forests many a time, and she keeps on meeting also many people, like people who are doing a sadhana somewhere like in the caves or in the forests. And she met a female sadhu, sadhak, whatever we can say, uh, and according to her, a realized person. And in only in one line she just said that, I think they were discussing about, of course, what to be away from or something like that. I don't remember the exact question, but she said that whatever moves, stand back from that. That's not you. Whatever moves, that's not you. And that's what we have been just reading right now here, that it is like a constant stepping back from Prakriti that is required if we want to disentangle the Purusha and realize who we truly are. So we say then to the mind, this is a working of Prakriti, body sensations move, moving, it's a movement. Thoughts are a movement, feelings are a movement. Headache is a movement, right? And that's why we say that um, many masters, we have many ample amount of stories where many realized masters were able to stand back from the body that much that they did not need any anesthesia if something was being operated upon, in the body. They were able to do it without anesthesia. So such kind of a stand back from the body. And we all know how hard it is. A little bit of pain happens because the physical ego is like a very hard and grained thing, like we are too identified with us knowing us as this physical self. There is a lot of identification. So stepping back from thoughts may be easier, feelings may be easier, but stepping back from the body and pain, that's really like, it's a big challenge because we are too identified. And that is my own, like a meter. I can, that's my gauge. I can gauge myself that, oh, how step back can I stand back from my own pain, from my own body, from my own hunger. How, how crazy we get usually when we are hungry. All of us may have seen. And that just tells us that how identified we are with the body self. A little bit of hunger, one gets, even the body revolts. The body is not yet ready, so it gives you a headache or something, and it makes many of us feel more angry and frustrated when we are hungry and not able to eat properly. If the food is not of our liking, then again we get pangs, frustration, annoyance. So all that is the link, that how much is my consciousness identified that, oh, I am this body. Consciously, I may not know, but by these examples, I would get to know. So then if we want to step back from the body, we say then to the mind, this is a working of Prakriti, remembering that this body is a working of Prakriti. This is neither thyself nor myself. Stand back from it. We shall find, if we try, that the mind has this power of detachment and can stand back from the body, not only in idea. It's not that I'm just thinking that, oh, let me stand back. No, just like these examples where the whole operation is happening, surgery is happening without any anesthesia, lots of pain, and yet one is able to do it. So one is able to, mind has such a power of detachment that it can stand back from the body, not only in idea but in act, and as it were physically, or rather vitally. So like you're stepping back from the whole movement of prana that is there. Such a step back is possible, but for that slowly a sadhana is required. It will not just happen one fine day. I have to cultivate this stepping back. So not to take my thoughts that seriously, not to take my opinions, whatever I'm thinking in the mind about this person, that person, about myself, not to take all that with a lot of surety. That is the beginning of it, and slowly then it can be also cultivated in the body, that the body may be hungry but it's not affecting you, that it's making you frustrated, irritated, annoyed, giving you headaches. That kind of a detachment is there.
Monica, can I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to ask a question generally I had with Sri Aurobindo's yoga about his use of word physical and vital. So can you differentiate between the two when he used physical and when he used vital?
Yeah. So, according to Mother and Sri Aurobindo's yoga, there are three instruments in our being. We have an instrument, and it is composed of main jo the instrument is the mind, the vital, which is feelings, emotions, the energy that is there, the life energy, force, that's why we say this person has a lot of vitality. So a lot of enthusiasm, zeal, like this prana, many words can be used, and that is what is also responsible for our feelings, emotions. So mind would be thoughts, part of instrumentation, mind, thoughts, feelings. Then we come to vital, which is feelings, emotions, the life energy, force that is there. And then the physical aspect, which is this body, the substance of the body. So these are the three main things which will come up again and again. And Sri Aurobindo and Mother have taught about educating all these three parts of our instrument. So it is not that they have to be shunned, they have to be educated. So thoughts have to be purer and higher and wider. It's not that we have to just abandon thoughts. We can think, but thoughts have to be going in the higher direction. Like they must be uplifting. They take us upward. Same with feelings, emotions. Like Buddhism also talks about, that cultivating compassion, cultivating generosity. So they are deeper emotions which are there, which we can cultivate. So that is the part of vitality, that you're usually we are busy with jealousy, victimization, blame, ambition, greed, lust, that brings us down. So we can transmute it, we can refine it, and take it to a higher direction. So Sri Aurobindo and Mother talk about education of mind, vital and physical. It is not to be shunned like earlier, some yogas may say. Yeah. Yes. So this detachment of mind must be strengthened by a certain attitude of indifference to the things of the body. Now, although on one hand, Mother and Sri Aurobindo talk about refinement of all the aspects of our being, but on in certain stages of our life, one also has to ignore them. So it may sound very contradictory. Like in Buddhism, one of the things that earlier, the nuns used to do is that they would contemplate on this body as how it will rot when it will die. There are many Theri Gatha. I think Theri Gatha is the text of earlier nuns, Buddhist nuns, where uh, they reflected upon the body, each aspect of the body, and said that, reflected that, oh, this my beautiful hair, which looks so beautiful right now, one day it will just be part of, like a drain or something. So you visualize that this body just goes to pieces, so that you can step back to identify yourself as the body. You can take a step back. So that was one of the ways. Mother and Sri Aurobindo don't recommend that way. They recommend us higher, the more refined ways. So that contemplation here is not necessary, but of course, Sri Aurobindo says that this detachment, which is a necessary step, must be strengthened by a certain attitude of indifference. So if there is a hunger, of it's okay, you know hunger can be there. It's not that if hunger is there I have to run after, fulfilling myself. Thank you. So I remember this, now, we were attending this workshop on we can heal ourselves, and all kind of methods are there: ayurveda, homeopathy, naturopathy, that keep yourself fit, do a hip bath or spine bath, all kind of things. One can really get lost. Now, after listening to that, I just inquired and looked at myself, and I said that Champak Lalji, we read in their account when we were going through inspirational lives, that we have studied that Champak Lalji had no time of sleeping, he had no time of eating. Whenever he would get time, he would eat. Whenever he would get time, he would sleep. So that is also a possibility. So a complete ignorance of the instrumentation. Why? Because you are serving something much higher. So all that goes into the side. And we have this example in all of us may have touched these, glimpses when, for example, we are passionate about our work, research, or whatever. Maybe we are writing a book, and we are giving our heart and soul into the book. Then hunger and this thing doesn't matter. It all goes to side. But the day-to-day life is, somehow we are used to this, such a mostly like a monotone kind of a life, that the only thing that attracts us is, okay, let's have a variety of food, because where to get the delight from? So consume, this variety of sweet, that variety of sweet. Otherwise, it's just like, luxury, and we don't need this much of food, the amount that we eat. We can, if there is something higher in our life which we want to give importance, then these kind of things will not bother. Whatever goes in my tummy, okay, like we read in Champak Lalji's life. But on the other hand, at many stages in our life, it's also important to discipline the instrument. So proper eating, sattvic food or whatever we may, try. But again, we know that it stays for some time and then we can let it go. It has its own right place. We don't have to become attached to now a sattvic way of living, So basically, to be non-sticky. Just like I think what Champak Lalji life is a very beautiful example that, wow, not eating, not eating, eating, getting time to sleep, okay. But whatever is most important, that is what the attention is given to. And many a times we see that we don't have anything most important in our lives. That's where the misery comes, where mother says aimless life is a miserable life. So giving ourselves a higher aim, something to look forward to. And mostly it would come through self-abnegation, that finding something which is something higher than me, little me. That little me can go on the side, but what is most important is what is calling me. Yeah. So anything here? Anyone wants to add on?
I had not question, but my observation.
Mm-hmm. You are muted. Yeah, please unmute. Yeah. Yes.
All these things when we are all living in this worldly space, and when you were talking about that hunger, so earlier it used to be that was craving when, so that means you are going on right path if you don't have craving kind of thing. Don't think that people are enjoying food and I'm just okay, what is it, it's good. People around you, you have to move in certain parties. Like yesterday there was a party and people, everybody was, they were having drink in their hands, and coffee and tea was that. And somehow some person, you don't drink, you don't drink, no thanks, you go ahead. So I was questioning myself that what is it I have lost interest in my life? But again, you have answered this thing, that the one word only, that you have to be cultivate that attitude of indifference. Indifference, because everybody living here, we can aspire for the sadhana, we can aspire. And I think the basic and simple thing is remembering and offering every time. Because after all that, when I came back, I said, so much is there and I could shed it off within half an hour. I don't want this, I want this, I want my peace, I want my this space, what I'm doing. So I think this will come gradually, because we would like to see some TV serial also, some picture also, like Unchai, I want to see it. So the basic thing is that you don't be swayed away in the movie, just watch it also from distance. Mean to say that, am I clear about that?
Yeah, I think all is a part of the journey. Everything is a part of the journey, and we can't just jump on the last step of the ladder. We have to, all of us have to go through the aspects that you were sharing. So yes, makes sense. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. As Mother shares in prayers and meditations, Mother talks about this. She says that first of all, even for the best, the process has to be long and slow. If there is a striking conversion, that is never real, Mother says. A striking conversion is never real, because again I jump back to being my older self. One day I realize, oh, now today I am leaving this and that, and then 3 days after, 4 days after, I go back in the same slippery zone. So it has to be slow, it has to be long. And then Mother says in the same prayer that no one can get rid of the need of innumerable experiences through which our instrument will be having a new taste. I'm just rephrasing, not remembering exactly, but so she says that slowly, through innumerable experiences, or the instrument, the part in our, all the parts in our being, it'll have a development of a new taste, a higher refined taste. And slowly the older taste will be, like on let go of, like falling dust. It is not required now. So in a couple of prayers, Mother is talking about that. We can't let go of all these experiences that are on our way. They all have a purpose. And it happens that we may go like 10 steps forward, 20 steps backward. We all know that that happens. That also has its own importance. Sri Aurobindo has talked about that.
That disturbs quite a lot.
It does, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah,
10
it
step
does.
ahead into step back again. So it
Yes,
seems
and that's why Mother talks about perseverance as one of the cornerstones, and not to lose patience.
And similar thing happens with the thoughts also. Some of the thoughts which you think that you don't, as you have already explained, that since we assume that we will get something out of that thought, that noise will not go. So that is also for today's thing. I have picked up two things. about thought and indifference. Good. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. The ones which are not, some go quickly, some others don't go that quickly, and we just have to know that each one of us
Hmm.
is having some attached soft spots,
Hmm.
and those thoughts come again and again, like in repeated loops. You may not want it mentally. You may
Right.
say that, no, I'm done with it, I don't want it. But
Hmm.
it will come because these are what is called past vrittis and sanskaras, like very, like deep rooted impressions. And that is why in Sri Aurobindo's yoga, we have the first step, Mother says, to find the soul, to get in touch with our psychic consciousness, because that is like a floor is shifted. You have shifted now the floor. Right now, I'm trying to connect dots on the floor wherever I'm living. Ego consciousness.
Hmm.
Oh, this impression, that impression, this impression, that
Hmm.
pattern, not good, not beneficial. But when we just shift the dimension, then this all gets cleared up. It's not anymore necessary. The dimension is shifted.
But sometimes it happens, particularly these days, there's one kind of thought.
Hmm.
I remember all these things that you have to concentrate on heart and then thought, but that automatically comes in.
Hmm.
And then I started thinking that not to pay attention to. Sometimes it is that you have to reject it outright. I tried it that also. You have to kick it out using your willpower, and then you don't pay attention probably, and ultimately prayer.
Hmm.
It is not in my control. I offer it to you and you do it.
Yeah, yeah. There is also one more method.
Yeah.
Again, there are many more, but one more which is very helpful through
Okay.
Buddhism.
Hmm.
It's called seeing the true nature of these formations. Hmm?
Hmm.
So when I sit in meditation or when I sit quietly with myself,
Hmm.
I see that particular pattern coming again and again. Now I look at it, I'm watching it, it's coming, it's coming. And after some time, it's also going back, it's dissolving, it's not there. Then it comes again, then it goes back, then it comes again, then it goes back, right? So the thing is to realize that what is the true nature of the thoughts? The true nature of thoughts is emptiness.
Hmm. But
They
if it
are,
does not come during meditation, you are reading something, you are looking something, and that thought creeps in.
hmm, hmm, that's okay.
Hmm.
Even there, you see, meditative doesn't mean that in 10 minutes it has to come. Not thinking like that. 24 hours of the day, I can see that how these thoughts and feelings keep on coming, keep on going, keep on coming, keep on going, keep on coming, keep on going. Where are they originating from?
Hmm.
And where are they going back?
Okay.
So that in Buddhism we call as empty space, or people use all the terms. So they are a formation of the consciousness, like they're forming out of consciousness, which we can also call emptiness at times. But emptiness doesn't mean it is nothing.
Hmm.
Emptiness means potential for everything.
Hmm.
When a space is empty, then a building can develop there, a temple can develop there, a pond can be formed, a lake can be formed. So emptiness has a potential for everything.
Right.
So when we are saying the thoughts are coming out of emptiness, that emptiness is the source, like it's pregnant with potential. But then I see that, oh, there is no concrete reality of these thoughts. They go back just like waves in the ocean.
Hmm.
Now, what will happen if I stick tightly to one wave? Oh, this is mine, this is so important, this is. After some time, it goes back. Where is the wave? Where is the identity of the wave? It is merged in the ocean. So, why to give that particular wave so much of importance that I am giving? So, in Buddhism, one of the techniques is also this. And it's not like easier said than done, of course. Just saying doesn't matter. We have to practically realize it.
Hmm.
And if once you are able to practically realize that, wow, how I am fooled every time anger comes. It comes out of emptiness, it goes into emptiness, and bloody me, I am moved up and down,
Right. Hmm.
you know. So, how long will I remain a puppet of this anger, which has himself no kind of, it comes and goes. It has no lena dena, but it comes and goes, and I am moved all the time. So when we have seen this enough in our quietude and contemplations, then even if the ripples of anger or thoughts may come, we can't take them seriously, because there is no truth. They are figments of our imagination. We can discard them easily then. But for that, a practical realization is required. Just reading about it won't do. That's why people go and do sadhana for a long time, either in forest and caves. It's not an easy matter. That's why so many sessions happen. Scriptures per scriptures are written.
Right.
Avatars have to come again and again. It's a sticky affair. It's a sticky affair. Yeah. So, but
Unless
one can.
you live here in this mud,
Yes.
only you can do your sadhana.
Yes. And this mud has to be transformed. So one has to, when one is getting frustrated, one has to know that this is just the texture of this mud, that it is so sticky and dark. There is nothing wrong with me. I am here to work on this mud. We are all here. That's why Sri Aurobindo mother says, make us of these hero warriors. Make us hero warriors that we want
We
to
are
make.
collaborating. We have to
Yes.
collaborate only. That's all we have to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
So no place for frustration. Because that's the task.
Yes.
What's the frustration about? Yeah.
Good. So many questions today answered.
Yeah.
And I think that those situations or those people around you, they are being given to you that so that you can work on that dimension, that aspect. Like anger, instead of justifying that this person and that person, it is you that you have to, this opportunity has been given to you, that you have to work on it.
Bilkul,
So
absolutely.
this realization is also very relief kind of thing, that I'm fed of my why anger. Then when you realize that no, you have to work on this, and this situation has been given. So the intensity of the reaction, the frequency of the reaction, this is also decreasing.
Yes. And it's like, of course, living in solitude, I can think I have overcome anger. There is no jealousy in me. I have no ambition, no lust, no greed. But the moment I enter into interaction with the world, I see that all of that was just hiding under the carpets.
Correct.
And that is why we can be grateful for those people who trigger us.
Right.
Because if not for them, we will think hamara ho gaya. I am self-satisfied. I am done now. It's their turn to fix. So, but through them we realize that no, I am also not done. Nobody is done. We are all.
नाम recognition, name recognition. मैंने इतना काम किया, मुझे इसका कोई credit नहीं मिला.
Yeah. So Nandini has shared, thank you Nandini, make of us the hero warriors we aspire to become. May we fight successfully the great battle of the future that is to be born against the past that seeks to endure. See, this is what we have been talking, that the past comes again and again. It seeks to endure. Against the past that seeks to endure, so that the new things may manifest and we may be ready to receive them. Yes.
Thank you, Nandini.
Yes. And we see that we are not ready to. We talk about, oh, I want ananda, bliss, delight, little bit of joy, and see how restless we become. Oh, who do I share this with? Who do I share this with? Oh, I'm so feeling happy. We can't. It's like a trembling container. Our container is not ready, and then we ask, I want ananda. We have no idea what ananda is. Better to stay away from it for some time.
I remember during one of the workshops when participants were asked, they were, what is your aim of life or goal of life? To find divine. And I love, every time, to find divine, easily said than done. We want so many things, but through that we find divine. This is the beauty of integral yoga.
Bilkul, yes.
Then you find the meaning of the life also, why I am here, why sorrow, why pain, why good, why fame, why everything. And when you do successfully something, then you find that, okay, this is the part of the Mahalakshmi or Mahasaraswati
Yeah. And in each person.
in
So
each
if you
person.
see somebody doing something well with
Yes,
beauty and
that helps
harmony,
so much.
yeah, and then you realize, oh, Mahasaraswati, same in
Yes,
me, her,
instead of
me. Yeah.
competing with that person and feeling jealousy or envy kind of thing, you see okay, this is the manifestation of this thing. I am manifestation of, probably I have to manifest that. So it's a gradual, but it's a really gratifying also.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Good.
Anything anyone wants to add?
I don't know. I'm like making a lot of questions, like about the difference between an ascetic approach, like this idea of emptiness of an impersonal divine, and on the other hand, the proper use maybe of thought, of will, like in this yoga, I believe we not only want to do this moment of movement of disengagement, but also to be able to grasp in some way, to make contact with a divine will, and to make ourselves instruments of it. So I'm
Yeah,
like,
but there is no confusion here. See, if we look at deeply the contemporary Buddhist teachings, I can't see a disconnect between what they are sharing and what Sri Aurobindo is sharing. No. First, they are talking about detaching.
yeah,
That's what Sri Aurobindo is talking about. Then they are talking about cultivating. They are not talking of annihilation or nihilism or nothingness. No, I have not seen that. So I can't see a discord. They're also talking about cultivating kindness, cultivating compassion.
yeah,
All that is a property of psychic being. They may call it Buddha nature. I am calling it psychic being.
Psychic being, correct.
You know? So there is no different. And Sri Aurobindo in Life Divine, I think we came across when we were going through it that Sri Aurobindo clarifies that in the beginning it appears that Buddha is saying nothingness is there and there is no self. But actually, Thich Nhat Hanh, if we listen to, he clarifies that when I'm saying no, when Buddha is saying there is no self, it means there is no limited self. We are all vastly connected. There is one humongous, one can say, divine being of which we are all a part. So when
He
I'm
even
saying that,
says that
sorry, yeah,
he even says we inter are. He
intera,
uses that
yes,
word. Yeah.
interbeing, yes,
Mm,
yes. And
correct.
that is what Mother and Sri Aurobindo are talking of, that we are all this divine consciousness and we have to stop believing ourselves as this separate self and that separate self.
that's right.
When, yeah. So I see a lot of connection. I can't see discord so far. Yeah.
No, me too. Yesterday I was reading some text on Buddhist Tantra, and he even the text talks about, I don't remember the exact terms, but it was remind me of this idea in the Upanishads of the being like the thumb of man located in the heart. They were talking very precisely about this, which I believe too. This is the psychic being, in other words. Uh, mm,
Yes, yes.
yeah,
So in Upanishads also this comes Angushta Matra Purusha,
Yeah.
a being
yeah,
of the size of the thumb. Yes.
right.
Yeah. And again, if we scientifically do a surgery and try to find the being, of course we don't find the being. And that doesn't mean that the being does not exist because I don't have the tools. Right now my tools are limited. It's a dimension which is different. So this is a 2D dimension, we can say, right? If I open, whatever I can see is this dimension. And Dr. Basu really talks a great deal about the psychic being, even Dr. Alok Pandey. And he says that mother also shared that it is in the fourth dimension, for those of us who want to, understand it intellectually. So fourth dimension, and then he gives us an idea of it. He says that, I've shared it earlier also, Dr. Sumitra Basu said that imagine that there are behind you there is you standing, and then there is another clone of you standing, and then there is a long queue of you standing behind you, like a long queue, and you, and then the queue is very, very long, and to the last point that you see a dot. This is what we were meditating with him, and he said that go to the last point. Behind you there is a you, there is a you, there is a you, and after that there is a last point where is a last you, and then what you do is you remove the whole queue, the whole line disappears, and the last dot you call forward. It comes forward to you from behind. It comes forward, 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 and then it occupies your being from behind, and your attention is now focused on that. And there, if we right now we are not doing a meditation, so there if we
Can we
meditate
do
on
it
that,
just now?
huh?
Can we do it just now?
I think better not. I am not the right person to do it with. I may not be able to guide it properly. I'll share it, the exact words that he shared. I have the audio clip of his talk.
Okay.
And at 50th minute, I remember, that was the first talk in Pondicherry we attended. At 50th minute, 53 minute or 50th minute, he talks about this meditation. So I'll exactly share that audio with you and better do with that.
He talks about that, that word has slipped out of my mind, that your aura, you
Mhm.
just observe you from behind.
Yeah.
Actually, and you can see the diseases entering. They
Yeah.
first enter into your subtle body,
Yes.
body,
Subtle
and
body.
then they actually enter into physical body.
Yeah, right.
In one of the workshop when I was attending, he was, and if you practice it for some times,
Hmm.
but practice could not be continued, yes, it could happen
Hmm.
that you could perceive your subtle body
Hmm. Hmm.
for
Hmm.
some time.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that was very healing also.
Hmm.
Very
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, he talks about focusing consciousness here above. He says, focus usually we are lost in thoughts, but for those of us who are convinced that that is not the right place to be, we can, of course, experiment with all these tools. So he says, either focus your consciousness deep in the depths of your heart, like towards the back, when you go within, like horizontally, you go back in the heart,
interesting to do.
and towards the spine, where the spine is there you focus your consciousness. Or he says, focus your consciousness here or here, a little above, he says,
Above the head.
above the head. Yeah, he talks about that a lot. So when you are talking with someone, or when you are just maybe having empty pockets of time, rather than immersing yourself in thoughts, you are practicing focusing consciousness here.
Good.
Yeah.
Good exercise.
So I'll share that audio with all of you. Maybe that would be helpful. Then you can do your meditation as he guides it. Yeah.
Okay.
Is it Dr. Sumitra Basu?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Dr. Savitri Basu. It's a Saumitra, not Sumitra.
Yeah, the spelling he writes usually as
S-A-U.
SOU. SOU. We find usually SOUMITRA. But even if there is a variation, you will find it. On Google, if you do, you'll find it. So anything anyone wants to add on further? Okay. So this detachment of mind must be strengthened by a certain attitude of indifference to the things of the body, so not to get too frustrated or annoyed when one is not getting something to eat, if one wants to cultivate it. We must not care essentially about its sleep or waking, its movement or its rest, it's pain or pleasure. And again, we have to see that this is a phase. There is not a formula that, oh, let me ignore the body. Now we cannot use it as a formula. So if I have something higher to attend to, then this can be done, but not like to take it as a licentiousness and just do rubbishness with the body. That should not be there. And then later on he shares about that. So this does not mean that we shall not keep the body in right order so far as we can. We have not to fall into violent asceticisms or a positive neglect of the physical. What is a positive neglect? That, oh, this body, it's kachra, it's garbage, so let me just ignore it. That's a positive neglect. And Sri Aurobindo and Mother don't talk about that positive neglect. They talk about refinement and making it as an instrument so that it can be used by the divine. So we have not to fall into violent asceticisms or a positive neglect of the physical frame, but we have not either to be affected in mind here, by hunger or thirst or discomfort or ill health, or attach the importance with the physical and vital man attaches to the things of the body, or indeed any but a quite subordinate and purely instrumental importance. So we see that how easily people are swayed when things are not to their liking. The food is not to their liking. Today salt is a little bit more, this is a little bit more. Oh, I don't take ghee in my food. All kinds of liking preferences we develop. And with Sri Aurobindo's life, we have a beautiful example. And if we look at his life and how he was just, he never really, I have not read any anecdote where he commented that, oh, this food is not right and not made up to the mark, or all these kind of things. And even he used to wait for Mother when Mother was busy in the ashram. So it doesn't matter whether eating at 11 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. All that is very secondary. Yeah.
The best example is his Karavas ki kahani. When in a one bowl he used to, in month of May, he used to drink that water, which was boiling water, and he never complained.
Yeah.
But if one feels cold, so what should the body should suffer, or should it?
No, I think, this is very important. So I met somebody and she was sharing that she's having like a pain, like something like a sciatica. I don't know what kind of pain. And she was wondering that so far I have not shown it to a doctor and it's giving me trouble. And although I want to heal it holistically, but we have our own ideas. Even when I'm not ready, then if I have too far-fetched goals, I'll just make myself too much suffer. That is not right. That is not right. So if right now, in my state of ignorance or half awakened consciousness, right now I see that, oh, seeing a doctor and finding a immediate relief is important for my peace and sanity, I think I should go for that, really. And Mother also never said that you have to keep your body in trouble and just and of course it's variable. So many senior sadhaks, they would say that, no, I don't want to be cured by anything, I just want Mother's force. But if I am not there, then I don't have to be hypocritical and say, no, I am there. Because that will make me suffer. They were not suffering. They were very happy that, oh, Mother, you put your feet on my heart and that is the only remedy I want. But for me, that is not the case. So I have to be very honest. If I need a pill, I should better take a pill and relax and maybe chant Mother's name after that. So because if the body is too moved and if the whole consciousness is moved, I am not even able to chant Mother's name. But with senior sadhaks, that was not the case. At least
many sadhaks.
Yes. So they just knew that the only remedy is Mother's force, and I don't want to be touched by anything else, even if I may die.
And Mother sent Ashwini Kumar too for heart problem. I don't remember the name of that sadhak, but yes, he said that mother has sent you, and then they cure.
Yeah, yeah.
I think the idea is that one should not be too much obsessive about the comfort, like a comfortable thing. But if your body is feeling, in spite of 2-3 layers, don't think that poors are not having any wool, and I should also not have and suffer with the cold all things. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I think we don't have to inflict, just like you were sharing in this paragraph also, that we don't have to inflict suffering upon us.
Hmm.
That is not to be done. And in other text, maybe in, I don't know, maybe in Isha Upanishad, I can't remember exactly. So another text he says that it is Krishna evolving out of you.
Wow.
So foster this Krishna, nurture Krishna. You don't do violence to Krishna, no? When I know that it's Bal Gopal, Krishna evolving out of me and each one of us, then we care about it, we nurture it, we foster it. We don't do violent, torture on it. So that is not to be done. Yeah.
Good one.
Mm. Yeah, so then he shares that nor must this instrumental importance be allowed to assume the proportions of a necessity. Now, how we live life is two-time eating is a necessity for me.
Yes.
So that's what he's sharing, that nor must this instrumental importance be allowed to assume the proportions of a necessity. That without this, oh my God, what will happen of me? We must not, for instance, imagine that the purity of the mind depends on the things we eat or drink. Now, many a times we have seen, even in us or our relatives or people around us, trying to experiment with things, that again that stickiness happens. That, oh, if I have garlic in my food, I can't touch it. I can't touch it. For example, I am only used to sattvic food. Again, that obsession that you were sharing, that we have to let go of. So stickiness of any order is to be shed off. That's what Buddhism is also talking about. To be non-sticky. Whatever is there, take it as an act of gratitude. Okay, as a prasad from the divine. You take it, eat it, may it fulfill the being, and may it be ready for the divine work. And if not available, whatever is available, you eat it with mother's name. That's it. So we must not, for instance, imagine that the purity of mind depends on the things we eat or drink, although during a certain stage, restrictions in eating and drinking are useful, to our inner progress. Nor, on the other hand, must we continue to think that the dependence of the mind or even of the life on food and drink is anything more than a habit, a customary relation which nature has set up between these principles. So again, both extremes have to be avoided. you know and this can only be done, I feel, I don't know, I feel that this can only be done if I have a really a good higher aim in front of me. Then everything else becomes secondary. That's why mother says that on the quality of your aim will depend the quality of your life. So again, phase to phase, a phase may come where a certain discipline may be required for the progress. A phase may come where I have to let go of that obsession. Now I have to move on. As a matter of fact, food we take can be reduced by contrary habit and new relation to a minimum without the mental or vital vigor being in any way reduced. So although I may be eating less, but I don't feel any lack of energy. I don't feel frustrated. I don't feel annoyed and irritated that I have missed my meal. Because now that meal is not important. There is something else that is feeding me, and that is the soul consciousness. So, even on the contrary, with a judicious development, they can be trained to a greater potentiality of vigor. So, even greater. Earlier, I was eating food that would giving me a vigor. Now I have reduced food, And now it's actually trained to even a greater potentiality. That is also our possibility. So it can be trained to a greater potentiality of vigor by learning to rely on the secret fountains of mental and vital energy with which they are connected more than upon the minor aid of physical ailments. So physical ailments would be eating an apple, eating a banana. So these are all physical means. Water, whatever, tea. And then I began to rest in the silence, in absolute immobility and stillness in the mind. That becomes my fountain of energy. This is what we have to cultivate. Resting in absolute stillness and immobility can be a very beautiful source of energy and vigor. Mother talks about this. And remembering mother's name, immersing ourselves whenever we have pockets of time. That becomes our food. So this aspect of self-discipline is, however, more important in the yoga of self-perfection than here. For our present purpose, the important point is the renunciation by the mind of attachment to or dependence on the things of the body. So here he is saying that right now the discussion that is there is that let me step back from the body and its needs and its desires and its limits and wants and expectations and likings and preferences of food. Let me step back. So right now this stepping back is required, and rest he's saying that is a part of yoga of perfection, which he's not right now touching. Yeah. So anything anyone wants to add on to what we have read today?
Sorry. I just have a question about about one thing that I've really found is that mother has been insistent, not insistent, but she's always very much focused on this idea of cultivating joy and this ability to smile in every circumstance. And the first thing that they say, even with school children, even with whom she did not talk too much about the yoga, but this skill of smiling. So that's something I wanted to, and that's there even in Buddhism. Like Thich Nhat Hanh would always say that sometimes smile is the result of your joy. Sometimes your joy can be a result of smile. So, but I wanted to ask that when we venture into yoga and we do it consciously, when we start doing, when I look back at my older self who was not very conscious, I really found that I was happy in the sense now I can say maybe I was happy in ignorance but I was happy because maybe I was ignorant about so many things. How I dealt with people didn't really matter to me. I was not sensitive. Now the sensitivity has kicked in, or you do things consciously, you're very conscious about your movements. But at the same time, I don't know with others, but definitely with me, it also not make me too much happy because I'm conscious. So because the old self is going, and this is whole idea of letting go every moment, even every step is about letting go of your old self, which is not very pleasant all the time because ego is still strong and it sticks in. So how do we do that? Like we want to do the yoga and we want to do it consciously, but it happens, we do it with a sense of bliss and joy um, rather than this discomfort. I won't say sadness, it's not sadness, but it's discomfort or this feeling of this, about, I hope you understand what I'm trying to convey.
It's a very good question.
Sri Aurobindo talks about the difference between cheerfulness and a vital bubbling. It's a very important difference, I feel, because we think that just childish bubbling around and laughing about anything is what Sri Aurobindo may mean by cheerfulness, or mother may mean. but it is not that. And on incarnate word, if you type cheerfulness and vital bubbling, you will find exactly what Shurubindu is sharing. So although we say that we have to become childlike, ultimately, so it's like we are a child and then we go through all the phases, serious, all that, and then we have to ultimately be a child. That's how we enter into the door of heaven, or whatever, the words they may use. But it's not the same childishness which is there when we are children. It's like a spiral, it's not a circle, like I'm coming back. Like, for example, we talk about Satyug will come back again. It's not the same Satyug that Ram was there that's going to come back again. It is a different Satyug. So the childishness, or the childlike, actually, the joy, the lightness that we are talking of, now it's of a different character. We cannot assume its character because we don't know what it is like. So we cannot imagine it. We can only imagine what we have experienced, or what we can imagine in the head. But that which we have no idea of, I cannot imagine, no? I don't know. So if I'm touching water for the first time and I'm asking, oh, tell me, no, how it is like, and somebody is sharing, oh, it is like this liquid soup that you drink or whatever, I would not have a clue. I have to jump into the water to realize that, oh, this is how it feels. So the childlike quality that comes automatically, it is a byproduct of our being surrendered to the divine. It's a byproduct. We can't be hypocritical about it. We can't pretend it. And all these phases of in between seriousness and going through discomforts and being sad also at times, I think these are just passing phases. We can't let go of these phases. We can't jump directly on that cheerfulness.
Right.
But it is to come. It is to come. There is, like Mother says, the divine victory is certain. The more we surrender ourselves to the divine and want nothing but Mother's presence in ourselves, you can't help but be cheerful. Because nothing else is more important than presence of Mother in you, and that you have. So there is no burden that you need to carry. But slowly it practically stabilizes in us, and then that natural cheerfulness and joy that you are talking of, it naturally it comes. So whatever may happen, I say, so what? I have the Mother. So what? Oh, that person insulted. So what? I have the Mother. So slowly, as Mother becomes absolutely crucial for me, that I have the Mother, and that's what that matters. Nothing beyond that matters. You can't help but be light and cheerful. Thank you, I would say.
What she's experiencing, or what all of us experience in the beginning, when you start working on this and you are self-awareness, as the self-awareness increases, we find so many things inside us which we used to understand earlier, that this is the joy, this is the enjoyment. And in the name of enjoyment, people see horror movies, people see different types of movies. The one thing is that if you don't like it, or it dampens your consciousness, it lowers your consciousness, movie is not bad. But what kind of movie you see, then that is bad. So it happens. And when you start laughing on your own thing, okay, I was that this person made me annoyed and this person was jealous of me. No, my dear, it was in me and which is coming in front of me. And the more it is cleaned out, and the more the presence of Mother increases in our heart, because earlier we do on our own, our willpower. Then we see that our willpower is not able to do any. Willpower is there, but that grace has to be there also. So ultimately, when you start laughing on yourself, then that cheerfulness starts coming in you. Then when you start accepting people around you, earlier we used to think that, oh, this person has this, इसमें ये, हम इसके साथ कैसे रह सकते हैं? तो sometimes we are very ये भी अहंकार होता है, हम तो बड़े स्पिरिचुअल हैं, ये तो व्यक्ति बहुत कम स्पिरिचुअल है. And the moment I realized that this अहंकार is coming, offer it to Mother. And then the joy actually The joy is the ultimate goal. And as you were saying in your earlier conversation, that the higher goal, you cannot jump over there. It's a gradual process. It's a gradual process.
Yeah, very true, very true. Yes. And what you shared about we then slowly, as we progress, we don't take ourselves too seriously, and that brings a kind of a lightness. I think that's
Yeah,
very
yeah, yeah.
important. Yes, yes.
Because I know that reading Sri Aurobindo's autobiography, that he used to drink that water. Suddenly, by reading, we can't reach up to that level. So we have to pass through this gradually. This much I have understood now, gradually. So that is what I am sharing to Nandini, who is very, very young too, and she has the same question which we used to have. Where is the joy? Where is the ananda?
Yeah. So maybe we can today,
Stop here, yeah.
yeah, stop here, and then yeah, this is done. So we'll take up the next paragraph, page number 344. Thus disciplined, the mind will gradually. This we'll take up next time.
But today's was very, very good. I must say, a lot of things we have taken from today's discussion, which will help me.
Yeah.
Thank you, Monica.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thank you. So,
Thank
thanks,
you.
everyone.
Thank you
Thank you
very
for
much.
being here. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Monica. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.